The diary of a young girl begins with Anne Frank, a lively 13-year-old Jewish girl living in Amsterdam. She receives a red-checkered autographed book as a birthday gift on June 12, 1942. Among a pile of presents are a peacock feather brooch, new underclothes, and party outfits, which she eagerly repurposes as her diary to combat loneliness. She immediately starts writing with bubbly, unfiltered enthusiasm. Addressing her diary as an imaginary friend named Kitty, Anne confides her innermost thoughts about school life at the segregated Jewish lyceum. She shines in quick learning in Dutch composition, but falters repeatedly in math under the stern gaze of teacher Mr. Kiesing. Mr. Kiesing assigns punitive essays like a chatterbox that cleverly turns into poetry. Her lively circle of girlfriends features prominently witty Jopie, Deval for deep secrets, and playful Jake Van Marsen for sleepovers. They share adventures, birthday cakes, and minor dramas of adolescence, like impulsive kisses with boy, hello Silver. Anne paints a vivid snapshot of pre-hiding normalcy overshadowed by intensifying Nazi restrictions on Jews, mandatory yellow stars, sewn onto clothing for public humiliation, and 8 p.m. curfews forcing early bed bans from public pools, trams, movies, and Aryan-owned stores make their world smaller every day. Yet she clings to optimism through small joys like birthday parties with sweet biscuits and games. She enjoys ping pong club tournaments and ice cream treats from anonymous admirers slipped under the door. She daydreams of movie stars like Deanna Durbin while deportation rumors swirl about labor camps in Germany. Anne reveals her two selves, the extroverted chatterbox versus the deeply sensitive, misunderstood dreamer. She navigates family life, Otto's gentle wisdom, Edith's frequent critiques, and Margot's poised perfectionism. Tension dramatically erupts on July 5th with Margot's sudden call-up notice for a Nazi work camp, sparking frantic last-minute packing of diary clippings, favorite books, and clothes in 2 bags. They leave behind whispers to Miep, and a tearful farewell to their beloved cat. An accelerated dive into hiding begins, blending raw fear with Anne's resilient teenage spirit on the brink of upheaval. On July 6, 1942, just days after Margot's alarming summons accelerates their plans, the Franks walk separately in pouring rain. They wear multiple layers of clothing and carry innocent-looking bags, slipping unnoticed into the secret annex at Prinsengracht 263, supported by devoted non-Jewish helpers like Miep, Jeez, and Jen, who risk their lives smuggling groceries and BBC Radio News updates. Anne's early entries describe the challenges of confinement, the perpetual fear of discovery by downstairs workers during business hours. Rigid rules enforce absolute silence, no flushing toilets except at night, no walking loudly, and only 2 baths weekly in a shared tub. They fancy nail-biting anxiety over war updates, like the fall of Tobruk or the Dieppe raid failures, heard through fragmented broadcasts. Their cramped quarters consist of a front room with blackout screens, separate bedrooms, a narrow kitchenette, and 1 overburdened bathroom. They survive on meager rations, watery coffee, thin porridge, gray cheese, and occasional smuggled veggies or Jell-O treats. On July 13th, the Van Pels family joins him, Herman, his stylish wife, August, and their bashful 16-year-old son, Peter. Tensions brew over limited space. Peter's cat Musky shedding everywhere, and August's flirtatious habits irking the anxious Edith. Despite grim reality's endless rainy days and heart-stopping church bells, Naitan's spirit stays remarkably vibrant. She decorates her walls with pin-ups of movie stars like Greta Garbo and diligently studies history in French, and reads avidly and steals peeks at canal housewives or barges passing below, longing for the world outside. She confides her awkward overtures toward Peter and records family strains, like her mother's weepiness and Margot's quiet withdrawal. Small joys mark time, her 13th birthday with a makeshift cake, and Otto's uplifting pep talks and violin playing. They celebrate Hanukkah with wooden tokens and enjoy New Year's dances to radio tunes, finding light in the darkness. Her diary becomes her sanctuary to vent fears of Gestapo raids and soaring hopes for a quick Allied victory. Otto's steady leadership and the helper's courage hold the fragile household together amid mounting uncertainty. The annex's crowding worsens dramatically on November 16, 1942, when Fritz Pfeffer Fossey, middle-aged dentist known as Mr. Dussel, arrives. After his Christian fiancée flees the country, Anne is forced to share her tiny bedroom, now partitioned by a tall bookcase. Fresh gripes ignite over his discarded slippers underfoot, mustache clippings in the sink, and his hypocritical Sabbath observance while hoarding chocolates, and details her evolving relationships with unflinching Ken. Her deeply strained clashes with Mother Edith's constant nagging and perceived coldness. These moments spark prolonged cold silences, bitter sobs into her pillow, and desperate pleas to Otto for intervention. She has explosive rows with Mrs. Van Pels over trivialities like fur coat draping, laundry placement, or perceived favoritism toward Peter. In contrast, Anne feels unwavering adoration for Father Otto's calm wisdom, his tender hugs, and patient mediation of annex disputes. Margot's quiet, supportive sisterhood remains a constant amid shared studies, while Peter's shyness gradually eases into tentative attic conversations. Daily routines lock into a hushed rhythm. Silent mornings are devoted to studying algebra under Otto's tutelage and shorthand practice. Sewing afternoons are spent mending rationed clothes or delousing hams. While tense evenings are gathered around the radio, they listen for updates on Stalingrad's pivotal Soviet victories amid heated squabbles over dwindling butter rations and potato divisions. Winter hardships bring freezing drafts through thin walls and frequent power outages, forcing everyone to eat candlelit suppers. Chilling news of nearby Jewish arrests reaches them, signaling Gestapo sweeps and the grim reality of the world outside. Despite these grim circumstances, Anne's spirit thrives. She masters classics like Dickens, Oliver Twist, and Balzac's Father Gore. She debates philosophy with Otto von Good vs. Evil and meticulously dissects her dual selves in her introspective essays. She experiments secretly with pilfered lipstick and nail polish smuggled by Bep, trying to maintain a sense of girlhood, and confides vivid dreams of ice skating on frozen canals and feels moral qualms over resenting the freedoms of non-Jews on the streets. She records absurd vignettes like Dussel's interminable teeth-brushing symphony or the Van Don's sudden affectionate cuddling. Her diary serves as ultimate confidant, capturing schoolgirl crushes on film idols and her gnawing insecurities about her looks. Her buoyant optimism persists in the iron grip of war, balanced by flickering joys like Christmas gift exchanges of used books. New Year's resolution dances in pajamas and Otto's bedtime stories foster a fragile unity among the eight souls, and surges forward intellectually through Otto's meticulously curated office library, devouring Greek myths like the Labors of Hercules, Eric Kaesner's Emile, and the detectives, and Shakespeare's sonnets that inspire her own poetry attempts, while honing French grammar, English vocabulary, and shorthand speeds amid her documented adolescent angst, confiding breathlessly to Kitty. Her burning ambitions to become a famous writer or investigative journalist exposing truths post-war. Her tentative bonds with shy Peter Van Pels deepen gradually via innocent attic escapades, stargazing through the glass roof at constellations, sharing frustrations over parental quirks. Debating future careers, though, their connection remains largely platonic amid his endearing clumsiness. From her fixed small window vantage, and keenly tracks global war shifts via illicit BBC broadcasts Allied triumphs in North Africa, landings in Sicily and Italy, relentless Russian counteroffensives, while musing deeply on human nature's paradoxes amid annex absurdities. Mr. Van Pel's beloved cigar-smoking rituals despite shortages. Muskie the Cat's territorial fights, endless ration debates over margarine lumps, Dussel's floss obsessions, and Mrs. Van Don's dramatic flirtations drawing ire. Tensions persistently flare over inadvertent noise violations. Gratefully receive veggie baskets from Mr. Kleiman. Edith's sweepy moods clashing with Anne's growing independence, and bomb shelter drills during air raids. Yet Otto's unflagging optimism and Miep's morale-boosting visits with lipstick or fabric. Scraps buoy collective spirits through mounting false alarms. Her diary becomes her most trusted confidant, a vast canvas to freely express deepest thoughts on morality-probing evil's psychological roots, redefining Jewish identity beyond Nazi stereotypes. Universal human longing for love and justice raw, fears of discovery during suspicious renovations, and vivid daydreams of reclaimed normalcy. Carefree cycling with girlfriends along Amsterdam canals, movie theater dates with handsome strangers, peals of unrestricted laughter echoing beyond the annex's stifling walls. Despite the grim backdrop of whispered mounting deportations, and her own maturation pains like height spurts outpacing dresses, Anne's vibrant voice radiates in poetic compositions, distant spring tulip sightings, sparking renewal hopes, and an unshakable faith in humanity's underlying goodness, marking her undeniable transformation from impulsive teen to emerging writer. A tentative yet intoxicating romance with Peter Van Pels ignites in early 1944 through stolen attic moments under the sloping roof. Nervous hand-holding escalating to experimental kisses on the mouth, whispered intimate talks on faith, doubts, personal fears, ambitious futures, and physical curiosities, though in later dissects its probable shallowness in solitude, attributing it partly to sheer isolation rather than profound passion, prompting her resolute turn toward self-reliance and inner growth. Interpersonal disputes intensify, relentlessly pfeffers, disruptive snoring marathons, and glaring hypocrisies. Raw family flaws exposed in marathon-heated rows over trivialities like blanket allocations or perceived favoritism, amid collective anxiety spikes from nearby warehouse, break-ins, incessant daytime plane spotting fueling both invasion hopes and raid terrors, and ration book forgeries stretching helpers to limits. Academically, and excels triumphantly, mastering complex Latin conjugations, delving into French literature treasures like Colette's La Massendi Claude, and racing her shorthand transcription speeds toward professional journalism standards of 60+ words per minute. She meticulously tracks exhilarating war reversals, glorious Allied landings deep in Italy, jubilant Moscow celebrations relayed via radio, tantalizing Normandy invasion rumors, electrifying tense evenings while observing Annex eccentricities with right detachment, Peter's awkward adolescent growth spurts requiring trouser lettings, Von Don vanities over hair curls, Dussel's dental patient pen, and navigates the turbulent waters of adolescence amidst the war's relentless, unsparing backdrop. Her vibrant spirit boldly pondering profound identity questions. Her independently evolving sense of Jewishness, untethered from orthodoxy, budding feminist leanings rebelling against Edith's traditionalism. Sharp critiques of adult emotional shallowness all around, and an unshakable optimism for eventual post-war reunion with cherished school friends Jopi and Jake. Intoxicating freedoms to dance at parties, publish writings, and inhabit a healed world without swastika shadows or yellow star shame. Her overflowing diary captures deepest fears of imminent capture during blackout lapses. Soaring hopes for swift liberation ignited by BBC cheers of Brussels and Paris freedoms, and rich philosophical musings on loneliness as perhaps life's greatest unspoken plague. Artfully balanced by simple joys like Meep's contraband strawberries bursting with summer promise, or earnestly penned New Year's resolutions, pledging patience and perspective. Through every twist, Kitty endures as her sole, unwavering, trusted confidant, meticulously documenting her exhilarating journey from starry-eyed romantic idealist to resilient, aspiring professional author armed for truth-telling. The Epico D-Day invasion on June 6, 1944, sends the Annex into euphoria, tearful cheers and hugs cascading through rooms. BBC announcers confirm Allied beaches secured in Normandy, followed by jubilant confirmations of Paris's liberation stirring dreams of homecoming. Yet mounting existential fears grip the group tighter from incessant buzzing Allied planes overhead by day, mysterious daytime firecracker pops mistaken for approaching raids, and deeply ominous break-ins rattling the adjacent building with splintered doors, and embarks on profound self-scrutiny, critiquing family shortcomings with newly earned attachment Tato's occasional emotional detachment despite his wisdom. She notes Edith's clingy pettiness, Margot's flawless perfectionism, subtly intimidating, and Peter's post-romance emotional shutdown, and privately battles her own temper flares, gnawing self-doubt over true maturity levels, and stinging pangs of unpopularity. Tensions peak unbearably with dire food scarcity forcing grim dinners of cat food substitutes and watery soups. Collective dread amplified as liberation hopes soar with southern France advances yet cruelly drag through stifling summer heat waves. The diary's poignant final entries crescendo on August 1st in raw vulnerability, admitting frustrating lapses in concentration amid chores. She reflects on mother-daughter conflicts, romantic disillusionments with Peter, and a fiercely held core belief in underlying human goodness. Ending abruptly mid-sentence on a characteristically introspective note of hard-won inner strength. Tragically, on August 4th, an anonymous betrayer's tip-off leads Nazi security police to storm the Annex in a swift dawn raid. The helpless group endures dehumanizing transports to horrific transit camp Westerbork, then to Auschwitz's brutality. Finally, Bergen-Belson's typhus epidemics claim Anne and Margot's lives in early 1945. Mere weeks before liberation, aged just 15, leaving sole survivor Otto to reclaim her scattered. Precious pages hidden by compassionate Meepgees, Anne's enduring words stand as an immortal testament to the extraordinary resilience and unquenchable human spirit. One vibrant girl confronting unimaginable persecution, loss, and the indomitable will to hope. Ready for more inspiring book breakdowns? Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel today for weekly biographical summaries. Weekly deep dives into history's greatest stories. Your next favorite video awaits. Thanks for watching.